My name is Rex, so a Christian name. Spelled surname is double-barreled name, which we find sometimes confuses people because the surname is of two parts.
Two parts. What is it?
The first part is Earp, E-A-R-P, and the second half is Jones, which is a very common part. That's why they gave him the name of Earp, so we separate from the other people.
Earp Jones.
Yes.
And your first name is Rex. So I will call you Rex, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
What is your birthday?
31st of August, and I was born in 1929.
29. So how old are you now? So
My
89?
My arithmetic's not so good. They say 89.
They say 89.
Yes.
What do you claim?
I claim 90.
90. Could you tell me about where were you born?
In a town called Beaufort West in the Karoo.
Is it close from here?
As the crow flies, I suppose it's quite close, but normally by my car it's I suppose it's a good morning's travel.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about your family when you were growing up, your parents and your siblings.
It's something not so easy, but roughly speaking, my father was an English church parson, minister of the church, and I was born in this town called Beaufort West, which is a very small town in the Karoo, and then in succession, some of the children had already been born there, and so on, and from there my family was transferred, my father transferred to Swellendam in the Cape, which is now a lot closer.
Mm.
And from there on, one more time, my father was retired while I was still not a child's age, but I was of school, went to school, boarding school, and then sort of drift away from the family because you outgrow the family.
Mm. When did you graduate high school?
think now very carefully. I think it was
1946?
46, 47, I think.
47. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you still have a very good memory, especially considering you were at the prison of war, right? And in a place we can comfortably call hell, but you survived all this. So I want to ask those questions. But before we get into that point, when you were in school, when you graduated high school, did you learn anything about Korea?
No, not as a previous. First I ever heard of it was when I was already in the military,
Mm-hmm.
and when the interests of the military, what his activities going to be, or was, that interested me.
So you didn't know anything about Korea?
No.
Did you know where Korea was in the map?
No.
Have you had any chance to look at where Korea was at the time?
When the activities started, and then I became interested in that, started to look and learned a few things.
Otherwise,
very ignorant.
Fair to say. And so when you graduate high school, you said that it's a boarding school, right?
Yes.
What was the name of it?
I was in the Swellendam junior school, I suppose we would call it that.
Mm-hmm. Could you spell the name of high school?
Swellendam is the name of the town.
Yeah.
Swellendam.
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 Am I correct?
Yes, about right. About right. That's named after one of the early time workers there, principals.
Mm-hmm. And what was your hope in your lifetime about the time that you graduated? What did you want to become?
I don't know. I wish a rich man with no problems. No problems. No, insufficient hopes anyway. I was happy to be alive.
Happy to be alive. But what did you become of? Like a medical doctor or military personnel or teacher? What was your hope?
No,
You didn't have anything?
no.
No.
I wanted to just be able to be alive and enjoy life.
Okay. So why did you volunteer to join the military or were you conscripted?
No, I volunteered because I liked the idea of aeroplanes. I had, when I was a young boy, in the roof of the house, all hanging by the thread, all over,
Yeah.
small aeroplane.
So you did want to become a pilot?
Yes.
Oh, that was your dream.
I didn't really know it, but it was.
So when did you join the Air Force?
You know, after I left school, and then I worked for a while in a broadcasting company, helping them and hoping to learn at that time to become an engineer of medical, stuff like television and so on. It was far on the horizon. But I said one day I'll be able to do that if I work now. So I joined this broadcasting company and did a few things with that's not TV, and there's no TV then. And so I just joined the broadcasting company and sometimes I did what they call it, outside broadcast, where you did things, took the equipment away and recorded what we could, and so on and so forth on those lines. So that was, I suppose, the beginning of my thing, and then the military offered training if you join.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, I'd get my good training for nothing.
Mm. So when did you begin to train as a pilot yourself?
About 49, I think.
1949.
I think so, yes.
So that was before the breakout of the Korean War.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It hadn't started yet.
No. And what kind of training as a pilot did you receive?
I must confess, very good. Some of the best ever. So we used to train part-time. We put it this way, every day, 6 o'clock in the morning, and the weekend. And then that went on like that. And for certain periods, at certain phases, then I would have to go to a camp where you spent a permanent thing, or a month at a time. And then you go away to a local base where they would keep training you. You played early morning stuff, all that, until you after 18 months. 18
months.
Yes.
What kind of aircraft did you fly?
To begin with, the very well known little Tiger Moth. Everybody knew the Tiger Moth had two wings, and then that was graduated to Harvard, and from the Harvard worked wings, graduated.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we joined permanent force, and then they put you on a training. Now in this case was to get ready for Korea, and so you trained on, and they did some training on this Spitfire.
Spitfire.
Yes, and which made us very happy. It was always nice to say you boasted you had flown a Spitfire.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that till you went to Korea, and then they went straight onto suddenly I've lost the name.
Mustang.
Mustang,
Yes.
right.
So, what was your rank, and what was your unit? Did you belong to 2 squadron or any other than 2 squadron?
No, you joined the squadron when you were there, yes. There were other units, but that was the only one that had voluntary and active.
What was your rank at the time?
Second lieutenant.
Second lieutenant.
There's nothing lower than that.
That was the lowest. But did you receive any special training for Korean War?
No, only that we were going to the place where it was at that time it could go to snow, which some of us had never seen. And that could cause problems, and so I had to learn about that. And so you slowly learned things.
I have interviewed General Muller, General Earp, and then who's that? The L.
Right.
Yeah, many of them. Do you know everybody?
Oh, yes.
Were you
No, not all of them, but certainly those you mentioned.
Oh, and so you were training with them?
Yes.
Ah.
Some of them.
When did you leave for Korea from where?
Left in, I think it was September, October, 50, whatever it was.
51.
Yeah, that would be right. 51 left from, at that time, the main aerodrome where the big aerodrome now is in Johannesburg. Then it was a smaller airfield. They were still busy building the other. So they left from there.
To where? What cities and country did you go through to arrive in Japan?
We had to go to, first of all, Italy, because we caught the airline was the British airline going to Tokyo, and that took about several days to get there, and so it was quite a long journey.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, from arrival in Tokyo, we then been by military transport to Korea.
Were you afraid at all?
Yeah, afraid.
You were going to go to war.
Yeah, we didn't realize how tough it was.
So you didn't realize until you arrived there.
We're going to have a party.
Oh. That spirit.
Yeah.
Flying cheaters, you know.
Yes.
So when did you arrive and where in Korea?
I think that flight took us to K-44, K9.
K9.
Yes. I think that was the base where the squadron was then based there. And
You mean K10? The Jinhae?
near K10. That's a big, you're quite right, K10.
Uh-huh.
I said my mistake. K9 is one of the others, sorry. K10 was...
Main base, right?
well, that's why it was called K9 after K10. Oh, the dog.
Okay. And when was it?
That was later, though, maybe November, December of that year, which I think was, as you said, no, gone.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
sir.
was just going to say, somewhere or other I've got my logbook,
Yeah.
which would probably tell me what date, and so on, if you're really, really interested in that.
Yeah, we can go back to your record later, but when you arrived and when you for the first time you saw the Korea, you told me that you didn't know anything about Korea.
That's right.
When you saw the Korea for the first time, how did it look to you? What was your impression about Korea?
Well, the impression that came, of course, was purely about the airfield. I think the war had already been there, and the people had retreated in the airfield, and they were sort of they had retreated all the way down to the south, I know.
Uh-huh.
And then they slowly built up the Air Force from there, and we joined an American wing, which is called the 18th Fighter Bomber Wing.
Just give me a sec. How was the relationship with the American 18 Fighters and Bombers Wing?
I think very good. They taught us a few things because they had more experience, and they before.
Oh, you were more experienced than them?
No.
Oh, okay.
Very much a learner. When they had started World War, when the South African Air Force first went, they didn't go to places like K10. They were much further away. I wasn't there, of course. But they were taught slowly, and so a lot of those fellows came there from World War II. They were still active and capable, and so that's where they picked up, and they then in turn taught the Americans some of the tricks of the trade. So, and they learned about different places, and so the Air Force grew. So that by the time the squadron I was on went there, they were well experienced, and they taught us a lot, and so we did not learn the hard way.
So, for example, you haven't flew at the time the Mustang, right? And it was first time for you to do that.
Yes.
How did it happen? What was the process of your learning, and how did you learn?
One of the things we had to get used to was the fact that very often there would be like a Harvard was you have a place for an instructor to teach you what to do. Now a place like a Mustang, and only one cockpit.
Right. Only one person can sit.
That's right. So you had to give you the book, and they say to your instructor, says, "There's a read the book. And after you read the book, tell us you're ready, and we've got to put you in the aeroplane." And he went to, because that had a very powerful thing. Yeah.
Any difficulty, or did you break anything for the first time when you fly?
Very close to breaking something, including my neck.
Tell me about the first day you flew in the Mustang. How was it? What were you feeling? And tell me about details. How did you feel about it?
Well, they told you as much as they could. And then they said, all right, go and do a circuit. You had to land at the K10, circuit and landing. And then after that, they let you do more. But the one was one circuit, if I remember rightly.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of this runway, one side was the sea, and the other side was one or two hangars and hangars and things like that. So off you go, and they told you this aeroplane a lot of power, and you've got to be careful how you apply the power all at once. And so I went off and I came back, and then I was approaching to land, and the control tower said, "Take it around, mean you're going too fast." So I put on like the accelerator full out, and so much power that I couldn't hold this thing, and dipped. So I wanted to go roll over.
rollover.
Yeah, must roll over. And but I put my right foot on the thing because that's the way to correct the roll and the control tower.
I see.
I mean the control column. To roll it over, and I just missed it. It was sliding off to the hanger. And nearly went.
So you almost break it.
Yes, they almost broke it in my neck.
How did you like the aircraft?
Oh, once I got used to it, it was very, very nice.
Very nice?
Right. Yeah, yeah.
What did you like about it?
I think it was stable, very stable, comfortable, and you had room there. And you compared with the Spitfire, you were very tight, very small cockpit.
Yeah, it was
And
very narrow, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. And so the Mustang was more comfortable.
How about the weapon system there? Was it better than Spitfire, right?
Yeah, the Spitfire had some machine guns of a smaller caliber than the Mustang had the big bullet and could carry more weight. It could carry a big, and so all around it was a better aeroplane for that purpose.
Mm.
You know, it was built for that. Whereas the Spitfire, on which we had trained a little bit, was not built for that. But it was a nicer machine also.
Mm-hmm.
Both things that taught one a lot.
Mm-hmm. How long did it take for you to learn and have the first sortie? About a week or 2 weeks or month?
No, a couple of weeks, I would think.
Couple of weeks. And tell me about your daily routine as a pilot. What did you do? What was your mission? What do they ask you to do?
When you was on operations now?
Yeah.
Or before that? No, on operation?
Operation, yes.
Well, the flight where they would have flights waiting for thing, and then if it happened to be your good luck to go on a particular sortie, you would nominate you for a flight, and then your flight commander would obviously, the flight commander would be one who's well trained himself and has experience. So then he would explain what you're going to do, where you're going to go, what your target would be, etc., etc., what procedures we would take in case of emergency, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Did you have a chance to fight against enemy aircraft, dogfighting? Nah.
Well, if we did, then I didn't see them. I know. No, never had such a chance.
Mm. So your mission was mostly targeting at strategic facilities or the locations, right? And bombing.
Yes, and on the ground. If it was air to air, we would have had to take on a MiG or one of those more powerful aircraft. You know.
Was it more powerful than the Mustang?
Oh, yes, something that the MiG had. Well, they had the first jets, the MiG-15.
So then why, I mean, what I am hearing from the history book is that Allied forces, Air Force, was stronger than enemies, even though they have a better aircraft like a MiG-16. Why is that so?
Sorry, I don't quite get
Well, who was dominating the air? Enemy or us?
Well, I think the enemy, in certain aspects, they had certain techniques, but by and large, they had better aeroplanes.
There are not many airplanes from the enemies?
Well, the enemy there kept out of the way of the, or so it would seem to us anyway. Then we would see to digress now, when I was a prisoner, and we were and winter came, and you could see and hear, and we knew which was which, and we just stand on the ground and watch them up above you having fights. Then you could tell by the type of exhaust fumes were dark in color, was me probably, and the rattle of the machine guns. The MiG fired a 23 millimeter or something like that, slow fire, doof, 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 like that. Whereas the other fire from the 50 caliber was just like that.
Right.
So you could tell which was which by the noise.
Oh.
But the noise reached the ground sometime after it had been fired.
Right.
So,
wow.
But
So
anyway, we watched them when we could, but then they would chase you indoors or into. They wouldn't want to watch their own people falling down.
Right. What were you thinking when you were hearing, those Allied forces aircraft firing when you were in the prison camp? What were you thinking?
Well, we said, we wonder if we thought one of ours was firing, then we would cheer.
Did you cheer?
Yes, but nobody could hear me cheering.
Must have been very nice to hear those, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Were there any? So how did you become the prisoner of war, and when, and where, and how? Please describe in detail, because young students, wants to hear from you. When, how, and where?
I can't remember the location's name. I found it in my logbook. Came off the target, had been cutting a railway line.
Excuse me.
And I was number 4. We used to fly formation of 4. And one job number four had was to get, after the completion of the raid, was to count the number of hits with bombs or whatever. And I was number 4. And on that occasion, we went on the bombing raid and bombed a railway line and pulled up, and I had to look back down to see, count how many holes run here. I count no holes. So I said, nil, so I stayed a little bit low so that I could count better. And I had done that and pulled up and said, confirmed, no hits. And the engine stopped then.
Suddenly?
It stopped going, yes.
Your airplane engine stopped?
Yes.
Why?
So I don't know. To this day, I don't know why.
To this date?
Well, I'll make to find out. If you were on the ground, you could get out and walk. But it stopped going, and I had 2 choices. I could bail out with a parachute, or I could force land in the snow. And now if you land and you know what's underneath it, you can have a bad luck. And so the safest thing for mine was bail out.
Yes.
And you can maybe, but by this time still quite close to the target. And as I say, the engine stopped, so I called up the flight and said I'm bailing out. Because I didn't have time to say why or whatever. It was quite low still. I was thinking, if you were not careful, you got too low to bail out, to use your parachute. And you're in real trouble. So I called and said I'm bailing out, and I left it at that. And there was on the ground, there was a welcoming party of the enemy were right there.
Right there?
Yeah. I landed among some trees, stopped and I looked down to find out where I was, get my parachute off and so on. And they were creeping up on me. I didn't exactly say how do you do. Oh,
You were exactly get into the hands of enemy.
yeah, yeah.
My
And
goodness.
then it turned out afterwards that the railway line where we were bombing was in a place where it was practically a headquarters for a division of Chinese.
Was Chinese,
Yeah.
not North Koreans?
No, Chinese.
Chinese.
So they took me away.
Was it, so you said it was a snow, so must be winter, and
Certainly
was it
December, yeah.
December 1951? Right?
Yeah, yes, I think that's right.
Yeah. What were you thinking? Were you afraid to get into the hands of the enemy?
My thoughts were exactly what I would not have thought, because previously I'd been saying we hope the war doesn't get over because we want to go and have some more fun.
Oh, fun.
And so but now suddenly I'm on the ground there, and the enemy are all around, and I said, I hope they have not stopped the peace talks, which were on at the time. So my thoughts changed 180 degrees just about. Yeah.
How?
Well, from wishing them to carry on the war to hoping for peace. Yeah.
How did Chinese treat you there when you were arrested by them, captured by them?
Yeah, well, of course.
Did they hit you, or did they?
No,
Were they nice?
No, something of I won't say comfortable, but they want, if they were marching you and you had to march, they would help you along with your bayonet. Stick in the back, helps you go a bit faster.
Were you?
But no, not so serious that I was bleeding anywhere.
So you were not wounded at all?
No.
Wow, that's lucky, because you were very close to the ground.
Yeah.
You didn't have much time to jump, but you did, and no wounds.
That's right.
Lucky you, sir, even though you were captured by the Chinese.
Yeah.
Did they interrogate you?
Oh, yes.
Tell me about those details.
Oh.
Who did interrogate? What kind of, and how did you answer to them?
We, amongst the others, we adopted our own way of doing things. We lied as much as we could.
So you were a liar to them.
Yes, yes. You tell them as much rubbish as you could. It depended sometimes. The interrogator would ask interrogator, you see what I mean?
Yeah, you can get rid of her.
Yes, and so we would tell them as much rubbish as we possibly could.
What kind of question did they ask you?
Oh, some stupid question about how politics, how you came to school, from junior school they want to know, and all sorts of rubbish like that. So there was probably ability then, all sorts of chances of telling them absolute rubbish. Now, my father was a parson, was probably most one of the poorly paid people in the whole of the dorp there. And so he said, oh, they said, what does your father earn? I said, 12 motor cars and umpteen all sorts of rubbish. And they'd go away with that information. But they'd come back about 3 months or 3 weeks later. They were very angry because they realized that
It's been a lie.
A lot of nonsense, yes. And they'd start all over again. So that was, so sometimes it ended up in a bit of unpleasantness. They would lock you up somewhere on your own.
Who was the interrogator? Man or woman, or did they speak English, or what was it?
I only saw a male.
Male?
Yes, that I know, and poorly spoken English really for that job. So, I don't know. Well, obviously they didn't know their job, but we tried to fox them as much as we could.
When they interrogate you, did they hit you or torture you?
Only in the sense that they would certainly make you stand up for a long period of time, which can become uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to, you'd have to answer a certain question a certain way until you got it exactly to there. Then you'd have to write it all out again. And if you made mistakes on that, you started all over again. So it was very boring, should I say, and not very helpful to the enemy. I don't think they gained anything from there. There's nothing that they wanted to know that we knew, everybody knew.
Do you remember where you were captured? Was it far north or close to the 38 parallel, DMZ?
No, it was a bit further than that, further north.
Further north.
Oh, yes, I once again, I'd have to look on the book to see, but it was about a good couple of 100 miles, I would say.
So it must be around Pyongyang, the capital city of North Korea?
No, more.
More north?
Further north, yeah.
Further north?
Than Pyongyang, yes.
So your mission was bombing, and you were the fourth man, so that you had to count all those things, and then you became too low, your engine stopped, and then you become a POW.
Yeah.
Where did you go? Where was your camp? What was the name of the camp?
Well, we didn't know such things, or if I knew them, you soon made another name for a place. That place, there was no proper camp initially. You were just kept like a ordinary prisoner.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I was for a long, often in a cave in the side of the mountain, and you'd lock you up at night in the dark. Anyway, that was sort of very uncomfortable.
Mm.
But then eventually we were put on road transport. I was lucky. Back of a truck, and we were driven far north to up onto the Yalu River.
Ah.
Very close to the river, and I would say that you can't go any further north than that.
Right. I mean, further up north is Chinese territory.
Yes.
So must be Byeokdong. Do you remember the name of camp? Byeokdong or Pijeongli?
I never remember the names, but I don't know what they mean.
How was the life in the prison camp? What did you eat? How do they treat you? How many were in the room? Were there any heating during the winter? I assume that you were finally camped in one of those campground in Yalu, and it was winter. How was it? Tell me the details. You don't seem to tell me detail. You're going to be scolded because students want to learn about what kind of life that you went through there in the horrible place. Tell me detail, please.
Well, just what sort of detail that we, in what was important in the life was food. So now we already know, and now you know what our type of menu here is for 3 meals a day.
3 meals?
No, what we used to have.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, we had 1 meal a day. And 1 meal, instead of about 3 different meals, you had 1 meal, it is rice. So that was always, except for one day in the week, you got something which was special, they had cooked up in this camp, which I can't remember the name. I don't know if I ever knew it. There would come a tin of 4-gallon tin of soup. They call it soup. Was water and boiled up pork or something. The pork they used to kill us once a week or twice a week, and this pork come in the hair was still all on the pig. So you never knew whether to eat it or what, but anyway, you didn't mind because it kept you going. And that occasionally there'd be something different.
So just pig showered water and they boiled it.
That's about the size of it, yeah. And then at night time, when they would make a noise, and certain time would start to get dark. In the home, you go there, and we was living in a schoolroom. Was once upon a time. Just one big room, and we would have to go in for when it was time to go to bed. You had a blanket, and you slept on the ground. You went in, and then they blew all the lights out, or when no lights. But in any case, you know what to do with the wire lights. You tried your best to go to sleep. Mostly that's the program for the day. You couldn't do anything. You maybe talked to your pals. I was at that point with Chris Lombard was one of our early prisoners, and so he and I sort of looked after each other.
Who?
Lombard, was his name.
Lombard, and was South African?
Yes. So we were able to communicate with each other quite well, and occasionally you talked, and somebody, they carved it with a knife out of wood, made little chessmen, so you could play chess, and a few things like that. Learned to play card games by tearing the newspaper off the wall, and then if you could find a clear place, you made that the ace of spades. You made whatever you could out of and so slowly that was improved by the captors. They did things like that to improve us. So that was, a good point. I can't tell you much more there, but there's not much to do. So you did whatever you could, and sometimes what you did was not very good for you. But they used to say, "This you do that is not good for your health," and they put you in the jail. That's why it was not good for the health.
So, were you allowed to keep the knife? No. No. So how did they keep the knife to carve out the chest?
They from a flying uniform.
Right.
On the strips, it always had a little knife there. That was part of your escape, not escape so much as your
emergency.
Yes, to cut a dinghy or whatever you can, and then you would have to sharpen that up very carefully, and then you could cut. And then they would examine it. If the blade was too long, they would take it away.
Oh. So they allow you guys to keep the small knife?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
Oh.
To make a small knife.
I see. When did they provide you the one meal? Was it in the morning or afternoon?
I think on average midday.
Midday.
Yeah.
Mm. So you must be really, really starved.
Well, I think you were always hungry. It didn't matter what, and even if it did eventually crop up a large bowl instead of a small bowl, you still felt hungry after that.
Mm.
You just stayed hungry.
What was the food that you were missed mostly? you must have been dreaming, right? Dreaming something that you wanted to have there. What was the item?
A T-bone, American T-bone Texican steak. It is a foot long and 2 inches thick.
Foot long.
That's what they used to say, to brag about. Yeah.
I did a lot of interviews with prisoner of war before, and one of the food items that they were really craving for was the ice cream. They were just dreaming and ice cream, and they refused to eat the food that provided by this Chinese. Was that case? There were any person?
I never had such an occasion. No.
No. Were there any class, indoctrination class?
Oh yes, I tried.
Tell me about it. What do they try to teach you, and how did you react to it?
Well, they tried to teach us that communism was a thing, to rule the world, and so on and so forth. And we mostly did a lot of nonsense. You try to upset as much as possible, and then you also got punished if you made it. If you upset the class, so eventually they gave it up. Because it obviously didn't work. I think that there was similar things going on with one of the other camps, which would have been one of the other ranks camps in a different location, and those people apparently believed some of this stuff. So they
believed actually?
Yeah. Well, so they gave them the impression, maybe, I don't know, or maybe they did believe that stuff. Anyway, whatever happened to those people, I don't know, because they separated us all together.
What was the reward for those people who agreed that communism is better than capitalism, for example? What was the reward? Were they treated better?
Well, yes, I think they were kept in a slightly different camp, and they would have felt them, as far as I know, they treated them better. I can't say I knew, but the hearsay was that they were treated better.
Were you punished at all?
Oh, for little things, yes.
Why were you punished? You didn't behave.
I see. my favorite story, I tell you.
Tell me.
I had a wristwatch, which it had stopped working when I jumped out of an aeroplane.
Right.
So it got a jerk, obviously, and they took it away from me. And so I had something to complain about with the teaching. I said, "You've stolen my watch. The people have now stolen my watch. I want it back." And then they would say, "Well, no, it's not stolen," and so forth. I said, "Well, it's gone, and I want it back." And talk like that. So we would have an argument. And so that was one sort of point I could use anyway, because they stole my, as far as I was concerned. And if we could do anything to upset their program, we tried to do so. And then that was at the main camp there, which was the first one there, big school. And these fellows would come up with song. At one time, we had a little ditty. We used to say, somebody besmeared how Mao Zedong's picture on the wall, smeared it with mud. And so they came looking for the criminal. And we used to say, "Who flung dung at Mao Zedong?" And that was no, you mustn't do that. That's a naughty boy. Yeah.
You were a naughty boy.
Yeah.
So what was the punishment?
Well, usually deprival of something or other, food.
Like what? Food?
Yes, yes. If there was any special food, you didn't get any. Occasionally at that time, there might be a sort out of cigarettes or tobacco, and you were deprived of that.
Oh, did they provide you cigarette?
Yes, yes, they did at one time. Well,
Just one
it
time?
went, that came sort of fairly late on in the situation.
I see.
That they imported cigarettes. They came Chinese cigarettes and Chinese tobacco. Mostly it was tobacco in a package, and we used that tobacco to roll up tobacco, if we could get the tobacco, and smoke that. Well, anyway, that's the sort of thing that we was
Deprived.
yeah.
Do you remember many people dying of there because of malnutrition or absence of medical treatment?
No, not in my case.
Oh.
No. I heard talk of it, certainly. Other people who had experienced that. So, as I say, if somebody was ill, I was pretty damn sick myself with diarrhea.
Diarrhea.
Bad one, yeah. I was sick. So one and only. Eventually, I got some medicine, but all I know is that it had Russian writing on there. But that cured me.
Oh.
And it gave me also the first hot bath I had in over a year.
Hot bath.
Yeah. And it, when my pal, I had a friend there with it, Don Deshawn, American. We stayed friends for long afterwards. So there were things like that. That was like, eventually they got so far. They said, "Can't let this fellow go anymore. He's going to die for sure." And we would have done that with that treatment.
Did your parents know that you were in the prisoner camp?
No, nobody heard from us until there was a prisoner taken, and I made contact, and that's the first they'd heard that I was alive.
When was it?
Oh, about 6 months before the end of the war.
I see.
So I've made contact, and that's the first that they got information to my parents that I was alive.
Did you get the letter from them?
No, nothing.
Nothing?
And from Daphne also, she wrote regularly. I saw a letter afterwards, a pile of stuff. That point never came to me.
Did you know at the time, Daphne? Were you married?
We weren't married, but we had known each other a long time.
Long time?
Oh.
Oh, so she must have been really worried about you.
I wonder. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe. Wow, it's been really difficult for you.
No, yes. No, I'm only joking.
What about living condition there? You said that you lived with many others in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
Did they provide you heating during the winter?
Yeah, a little stove. There were 30 of us eventually.
30?
30, yes. There's 15 down one side and 15 the other side. All lying flat, jammed together.
Jammed together.
Yes, otherwise, and when one has to turn over, all will turn over.
But it was better for during the winter because you can keep yourself warm against each other, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Was it really cold?
Cold? Yes. For me, it's extremely cold.
How did you went through that?
Yeah, well, we were lucky. My pal was Chris, the Lombard, and he had a beard, and I grew a beard also.
You need
And
you need a feather.
Yeah. And the one time we woke up in the morning, and our breath had frozen.
Wow.
And we were frozen together with its beards.
Are you kidding me?
No, genuine. Because my breath made what do you call it? The glue. So anyway, we both had the fumes, if you like, stuck together. And then, of course, when we woke up, you wanted to go apart. You couldn't.
That's hard to believe.
Well, you see, in the summertime, of course, there was no such hardship.
How often were you able to clean yourself?
In the summer, it was okay. We could go down a little stream,
River, yeah.
but in the winter, it was a bit more difficult. They gave us one little pan, little bowl, and a bucket of, because we could go and get water from the stream and warm it on the stove. And then you had your turn. You had some water in a bucket, and then you stood up and you washed yourself in front of the whole crowd. Yeah.
But there were 30 of you, and so the warm water must have been very scarce resources, right?
Sorry, of course the water was out of the stream, was very near freezing point. So it took time to warm up.
Tell me, when did you know that you were going to be freed from there?
Some clever fellas worked it all out. And said, we all had to guess when the day would come. And but we knew the moment food improved, extra stuff started happening, and we said,
"Oh,
war was over, for sure." The aircraft stopped flying once or many times a day, so stopped maybe no aircraft. Then they would start again. But maybe he said they were nearly over. And then eventually the day came when they said...
So you knew that you were going to be freed?
Yes, we could have a good guess.
I see.
Yeah.
Were there any South African aircraft, like a Mustang or a Sabre, flying over your region?
There might have been, but I don't think so. The Sabres were not operating like that. The Mustangs by that time were gone, I think.
Uh-huh. Now we have your wife with you, and would you please introduce yourself, your name?
My name is Daphne.
Daphne, could you spell it?
Daphne.
And when did you marry him?
Oh, what year was it? 1954.
1954, yes. So right after he released from the prison of camp.
Yes,
yes.
Yes, of course.
But how long had you learned of him before you married to him?
What's about 2 years? Eh?
More.
Yeah. About 2 or 3 years.
So you said 2 or 3 years? So then you knew before he went to Korea?
Yes.
Oh. What was your relationship? Boyfriend, girlfriend?
Yeah.
Only one boyfriend, or did you have several?
No, I had some others, but he was the favorite.
Hey.
You didn't know, Rex? So, when he left for Korea, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, well, I was sad about it, but he was really looking forward to the experience. So there was nothing I could do about it anyway. So I just wished him well and hoped it wouldn't be for too long. I didn't know it was going to happen, that it would be a long time. Because
So, did you write to him? Did you write letters
I
to him?
wrote 2 or 3 times, but the letter, can't remember whether it actually came back or never. I just assumed it never got there,
Oh.
and so I didn't.
Did you know that he was in the prisoner of war camp?
I didn't really, did I? Yeah, I didn't. He was just missing, so
You knew that he was missing.
yes, I knew that he was missing, but where he was, I didn't really know.
How did you feel about his missing?
Well,
You
I
thought that
was
he's dead?
upset. I thought he might have been, but somehow I didn't feel that he was. But he might have been, yes, so I had to accept the situation.
Were you thinking that you're going to marry him? He come back
I didn't
to.
think of that.
So you are not that close to him.
No.
No?
Well, I mean, we were not engaged or anything.
Okay.
Anyway.
She's speaking a lot today, Rex. and so when did you know that he was the prisoner of war?
Well, I didn't know that he was. It was just when he was at the end of the war, and when they were all released, I just waited, and there he was. He was one of the prisoners, or one of the ex-prisoners.
So, what happened to you? Did you ask him to marry, or did he ask you to marry him?
Did you? I can't remember.
Nobody asked. He just carried on.
We just carried on. Well, we just
Yeah.
we just waited, carried on our friendship. And,
So, Rex, were you thinking that you're going to marry her when you returned from Korea?
Yes, I think so.
Was she that made you went through all those ordeals in the prison of camp, or what made you go through those hell?
I'm not quite sure.
Huh?
I'm wondering if I could ever be so stupid as to land up in that situation.
So when you returned, where did you go? Did you pass through the bridge of no return?
Yes.
What were you thinking? How did you feel about it?
They won't see me again. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. And eventually came back that way. Didn't go over that way.
What food did you eat for the first time after you were released from there? When you crossed the bridge, what food did you have?
They had fruit juices
Ah,
for us. We had 3 or 4 different choices. So I had one of each.
one of each,
Felt nearly sick.
right?
Yeah.
Because you were not accustomed to those
That's
food.
right. Yeah.
Did they spread the DDT to you?
Yes. He gave us a pump and a hot shower, and wow, that was
That was the real nice, right?
yeah.
Let me ask this again. What made you go through that difficult time in the prisoner of war camp?
You had no choice other than that.
do the best you can. Huh?
Yeah.
So after that, did you have a chance to revisit Korea?
Yes, yes, thanks to the, I suppose, the Korean government.
Korean government invite you back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When was it?
Can you remember? We were staying in Plettenberg Bay. It must be maybe about 10 years ago.
10 years
I
ago?
would think that's a rough guess.
Yes.
Definitely. Were you with him?
Yes.
Oh. Did you know anything about Korea before you flew?
Oh, no, wait, no, sorry, what was the question? I didn't go to Korea.
You didn't go to
No.
Korea with him?
Yeah, yes,
No.
you did. Yeah.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Yes.
Yes, I did. We went for a short time. Oh.
Did you know anything about, did he ever talk about his experience as a prisoner of war to you?
He didn't used to like talking about it, so I did ask some questions, but he didn't like to remember those days. So,
Why you didn't talk? You didn't want to talk about it? You didn't want to remember about it? Well, why was it that you didn't talk much about it? So when you went back to Korea, what did you see there?
I was amazed. I had heard, of course, that things had changed a great deal, and all of a sudden there was still shining buildings standing there where previously had all been lying on the flat on the ground. It was wonderful to see how it's been built up. And I, amazed to see it had like that. And of course, amazed also that everything else was working. By working, I mean by operating.
Like what?
Well, the transport system, for argument's sake. Railways, I think, were operating quite well, yeah, and a few other things. The airways and all that has come right. Fantastic.
When you left Korea, did you think that Korea would become like this today, as you saw?
I didn't think that would be possible. As well, I didn't know what today's is like. Then we didn't even have anything like that here.
Here?
Yes. I thought they were almost a miracle to see.
Now South Korean economy is 11th largest in the world. Can you believe that?
Is that a fact? And really?
Yeah. You don't believe me?
No.
11th largest economy in the world.
That is fantastic. Huh?
Huh?
That is fantastic.
Do you like it?
Well, I think if it's truly possible and it's done, that's amazing.
It's amazing. That is your legacy. You're suffering as a prisoner of war in the camp close to the Yalu River for 2 years, almost 2 years, right?
I suppose so, yes.
And all other people who fought for us gave chance to rebuild our nation, and now it's an unbelievable economy.
Can look at it that way. Yes.
What do you think about it?
Well, I think it's a miracle on the Korean people that they pull themselves up on their own, what do we say, on their own bed socks. They were helped, and they double helped themselves.
Do you regret that you were in Korea?
I don't think so. No. I'm pleased that I didn't have a scratch. It's It taught me things.
What kind of things that you learned from that experience?
You learn things about other people, about other systems, about other that you would possibly might possibly not have learned that way.
Can you be more specific? That what did you learn from other system and other people?
Well, you see, I was largely with Americans, and they had this way they evolved things when they were together, and so on and so on. And it was possible that they would not correct things that might be wrong. And so anyway, because we had our way of doing things.
What did you learn about Korea, if there's any? What did you learn about it?
Well, I said, how these people can recover so well.
So well.
Yeah. I remember one of the worst things that stuck in my mind was when I was under guard, soon after I'd been taken a prisoner. And I was being taken from A to B. Who they were, I don't know. But anyway, so we stopped for a rest at a Korean's household to rest. The guards, well, I say 2 guards on me. They say, indicate, lie down here on the floor. Because there was precious little left in this house. And we got holes in it from the wall, mud walls, where shells had gone through. So I was lying there, and happened to look, and there's a sickle, what I could call a sickle, you know, a scythe to cut the crop.
Yeah, yes.
Different, but it was a big thing, and hanging on the wall. And there was this farmer, and his and a baby crying in the house, making a big noise, and his wife was there. They obviously had nothing. And this fellow, he started muttering, and suddenly he leapt up. I happened to be watching. He leapt up and he grabbed this thing, and he came at me. And fortunately I saw it coming, as I rolled out like that, and I went chips into the mud floor, stuck like that.
So was he trying to kill you?
He was trying to skewer me.
Oh, why?
Hey, he was I pointed he pointed to the holes in the wall. So he felt I had made them personally. And so I didn't. Sometimes you couldn't even sympathise with him. So anyway, that's just a point that made me remember.
But out of all this mishaps and ordeals and sufferings, you came back in one piece. You married to Daphne, and you have lived the whole life.
Yes, very lucky.
Very lucky. It's going to be 70th anniversary of the Korean War breakout by 2020. Do you have any message to the Korean people? Want to say anything?
I would say if they would ever listen to
Yeah, they're going to listen to
peanut like it. I would say don't listen to me. Carry on the way you have been. You fix it all yourself.
Why we don't listen to you? We want to listen to you, and still we can carry our own way.
No. Now we don't know enough. You let the people who fixed it all up, let them teach you.
Why do you think you were there?
It's because I'm the punk engine.
You are the flying cheetah. And what is your legacy as a Korean War veteran and also as a prisoner of war?
I can only say my legacy is that I can live. I have lived happily amongst all other people, and I've been very fortunate, and I've got the last few days
Nobody knows.
to keep, I'll stay happy.
Great. Thank you so much again. And at this point, I want to invite Dirk Lowe to be joining them, please.
My name is Dirk Lowe, and I am the president of the Korean War Veterans Association from South Africa.
Mm-hmm. And because of his kind and all wonderful arrangement, we've been able to conduct interviews of so far 6 veterans. And you are the president, but you are not Korean War veteran, right?
No, my father served in Korea.
What's his name?
My father was Ibn Lowe. So Ibn Ezer, Johannes Jacobus Ibn Ezer Lowe,
Oh.
that was his name. Yeah.
And was he a veteran?
He was a veteran, and he served in Korea from September 1952 to December 1953.
Was he a pilot?
No, he was a ground personnel.
Oh. And how did you come to know of Rex?
Well, I learned to know about Rex through the previous president, Piet Visser. And I've met up with Rex and his wife about 3-4 years ago, the first time. And since then, I've been keeping contact now and then, much less than I wanted to. But at least I get my monthly newsletter, so that's good.
So you are issuing and writing, actually, you are the publisher of newsletter for the South African Korean War Veterans Association.
That's correct.
How often do you?
I do it monthly.
Monthly.
Yes,
And this is Cape Town, right?
that's correct.
We flew together at 6 o'clock flight, right?
That's correct.
Yes.
This morning.
Yes.
This is a very special occasion. We are doing this for the 70th anniversary of the Korean War breakout. Do you have any message to the Korean people and Korean nation?
Well, one thing that I've learned the past 5 years, remember, like I said, for me, what I've seen, okay, first of all, I have to say the proud heritage that we are bringing from 2 Squadron makes me feel very honored. And the fact that we were able to assist in the Korean War. But what I want to say is that I personally feel that the Korean people have said so much thank you up till now. You know, nobody in the world else does that. So I personally want to say that specific thing that I do by being thankful for what has been done. I link it to karma, like I said previously. And karma is what you give come multiple back to you. And I have seen that they have grown, and I personally am very fond of the Korean people. The ones that I've been able to meet over the past few years, they were very special to me. So they are truly a nation that can stand up and say we can be reckoned with today.
Very nice of you. Thank you very much for compliment. But do you have any special message to your friend, Rex, for the 70th anniversary
For the
occasion?
70th anniversary, I have to say to Rex, first of all, please don't fall and don't get sick. But that's the first thing. But the thing is that I think that when we celebrate the 70th anniversary, I think that we must make something special in South Africa about it. And I will come and pick you up here at your house. Because really, to be able to celebrate 70 years after the war and the fact what you have gone through and most of the veterans, it is really very special that you do have the ability to also celebrate that.
Rex, I want you to know that you are suffering. I know you've been very nice, but in your mind, in your conscience, that whole thing was still remembered, right? But I want you to know that your suffering never been wasted, because Korea now become one of the most strong country in the world. So that your service really contributed to what Korea is now, and now our good friend Dirk recognizing that. So I want to thank you on behalf of Korean nation for your suffering and your honorable service, maintaining your integrity as a soldier from South Africa. Will never be forgotten. Any message?
All I can do is say thank you.
That's it.